Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Scotty, beam me up.
Hulk. Smash. Get over here.
It is pointless to resist.
All right.
Kick off.
Yeah, right. But we're back. Continuing our top 100 countdown of horror movies from the last 5 decades. We're on the 80s today. Light this cigarette.
That was not easy to narrow down. That was the heyday. That was the start.
It's fairly easy for me because, like, I knew what I was looking for, I guess.
Right. Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
There are things that stand out as iconic to you because they were a part of your childhood, your early attachment to movies.
Or even the ones that I've seen as an adult that I never did see as a kid. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. But see, even then, though, there's still a bit of a nostalgia at play because you look at the
Yeah.
grain of the film,
Yeah,
the way that people
yeah.
are dressed, and it's like you're immediately. It's almost like coming home.
Yeah.
And
For
the
sure.
thing is, though, is that like the 70s, which we've already gone through, and a little bit of the late 60s, those guys walked so that the people in the 80s could fucking run.
Yeah.
And that was done just so that everybody else could emulate everything from that point.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact is, there are very like we get super excited about movies like Terrifier, or I'll be honest, even my best friend's Exorcism, which Craig I finally watched, was pretty decent.
Yeah, it was good.
We like them because they are, if not new, at least a new take on an old subject, and it's the same feeling, right? Most movies now, most horror movies are just rehashes.
Yep.
Now, and bearing in mind, we talked about remakes. Love a remake.
I've got one on my list.
Well, I'm just saying, giving it a new title, giving it the same story as something you've seen 5 times, it's a cop out.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
For sure.
Sorry for the tangent.
No, you're good. You're good. That was good. Kickoff right there.
Got a lot of spare time during the
I But Jason, you ended the list last time,
Right?
so I figure I'll kick it off this time, and we'll just go around the horn like we have been.
Pricey.
So,
Right.
let's see. We all got 20.
Right?
Where do I start? Okay, I'm just gonna start simple. A classic, American Werewolf in London.
Got that one. That was my number 2, 1981.
Yes, sir. That okay, so I've explained to you guys my Michael Jackson Thriller scenario.
I believe Craig has something similar, actually.
Like I had nightmares about the zombies and stuff. But
Well,
when
not
I saw them,
but at least the attachment.
like I love the werewolf transformation and everything, but like I watched the making of documentary and I was introduced to John Landis and Rick Baker.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, I'm gonna have to keep an eye, like remember these names
Right.
because this is an amazing music video.
Yeah.
And they do movies. Well, let's see what they got. And I come across American Werewolf in London, and what are the 2 names
Right.
that you see attached to that movie? Rick Baker and John Landis. I
Yep.
immediately bought it. I'd never seen it before the time that I bought it. It was in the $5 bin at Walmart. And I put it on because I had seen plenty of like clips of it, but I'd never actually sat and watched the movie.
Yeah.
So
Interesting
I go
because
home.
you brought it up when you were talking about the transformation. Because I mean, obviously, it was an Academy Award winning moment, right? Like that was
Right.
an amazing thing.
Yeah, but I was talking about the Michael Jackson.
Right, Michael,
transformation.
but you brought up the werewolf, and the reason why that tipped this off in my brain. So Rick Baker was pissed off during an American Werewolf in London because they spent
Yeah.
so long making the facial process of the transformation something that would look good on a camera, right?
Yeah.
But it's only in the actual movie for about 8 seconds.
Yep.
It's not long, and he thought it was a complete waste of time, and that was the thing that tipped off the Academy.
Yeah.
That was the moment. So, I mean, once again, going back to the point that, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, the amount of time he spent, I'm sure he would have loved to have watched that shit happen for 30 minutes. Fuck.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
I would. I want to see an extended cut.
I just,
That-
the whole thing, though, just being the artist that created it and the guy that wanted it done. Landis knew what the fuck he was doing. He
Fuck
cut
yeah.
that movie together very well. I mean, literally, when apparently Baker, from what I've read, I think, and I'm not sure if this is me misremembering and turning into something more grandiose than it actually is, but from my understanding, he was on set while they were filming, and when it got down to it, and Landis called cut, he was like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they only filmed it for like 30 seconds, of which 8 seconds made it to the actual screen.
Yeah.
He's like,
right.
that is the hardest thing that we did. That is the best looking part of this transformation. The rest is a dude laying underground with prosthetics attached. I mean, the latex and shit was brilliant. What are you doing? He's like, it's going to look good on film. And he was right. Fucking Academy Award.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's still one of my favorite movies to this day. Like, campy as all hell.
I'd watch it any day of the week and be happy.
Yep.
And you get the great British humor with it.
Very much that. And for that matter, I mean, I'll just talk briefly about the Nazi zombies dream.
Yes.
A random moment that serves no purpose other than your maybe because an American Werewolf in London, if you were watching it at the age that we were at the time when we could watch it,
Right.
we knew it was a horror movie. We knew what we were into. I would actually classify that as one of the first intentional jump scares that I had ever seen. The moment where the fucking curtain slides back and there's the Nazi zombie in the fucking hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To this day, still a moment that it doesn't get me, but it brings me back. If I watch that movie right now, I will remember how I felt when I was like fucking 7 years old watching that shit.
That's crazy.
Every jump scare after is paled in comparison, with the exception of Exorcist 3.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. I can see why. For sure. Yeah. American Werewolf in London, the first one. Greg, what do you got for us?
I'm just going right down my list. I mean, the first one's iconic, but I'm sure it's listed already. So I'm going with Return of the Living Dead 2.
Oh,
I'll
All
get
its
you that, but it
comedic
is a great
horror
movie.
glory.
I've actually never seen that.
Return of the Living Dead 2 was basically you might as well have called it a tongue-in-cheek, more expanded version of Return of the Living Dead 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it is what one set out to be with a better budget.
Kind of like a spoof when you think about it.
Oh, completely, especially with all the inside jokes and comments from the different characters talking about being there before and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, it's literally the original cast, I think, minus Lena Quigley, right?
Yeah.
With the exception of her, it's the original cast pretty much reprising their roles. A couple of people shifted, but for the most part, it was basically what not Return of the Living Dead, but Evil Dead 2 was.
Yeah.
It was Evil Dead 1 with a budget and a studio backing it.
Yeah.
Right. That's fair.
And it is funny. The comedy hits,
It
the
is
fucking
funny.
horror hits, the effects are brilliant.
Yeah.
They even use Mudman in a better way.
Okay. You sold. I'm watching it tonight.
Absolutely should. Anybody watching this should also do it. Like, stop immediately. Don't even finish this shit. Go find it and watch it.
Get that damn screwdriver out of my hand.
You can come back and finish this later. Jason, what's up on yours, man?
All right, so I'm actually skipping my number one because as I'm looking at my list, I'm going to prioritize these. The Howling.
I actually thought about adding that one to my
Yeah,
list.
Yeah, I thought about it, but I looked it over.
That movie, to me, at least, not any of the sequels. Dear God, fuck the sequels. But that first one, All of
Yeah.
it. I mean, shit, the idea of a serial killer running through a major city who's not really a serial, well, I mean, he is, but he's also a fucking werewolf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the fact that there's a reporter following him, and that's how it kicks off. That's not the whole story. That could have been the whole story, but that's just how it starts.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Dee Wallace is fucking amazing in that movie. I mean, that was an iconographic like setting for her. That made her, at least in my opinion, what she became.
Mhm.
Like Dee Wallace, when you talk about Scream Queen, she's up there with Jamie Lee Curtis, maybe with the lesser known movies, but still any horror person knows her immediately. Dee Wallace, Dee Wallace. And it's because of The Howling. Not to mention just the effects in that movie. Good God, the effects. They're fucking amazing.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they're a little was taken, or a lot was taken from Baker's Werewolf in London, but it was also expanded upon. I mean, it wasn't just a crazy looking rabid wolf creature with red eyes and semi-human form. It was a full on standing up lycanthrope that was just vicious looking. Like it was it was the model for what we suddenly decided werewolves were.
It's kind of what we hoped the Wolfman would have looked like.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, when you think like this is supposed to be the way it comes under the light of the full moon, blah, 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 blah. That is the thing you fucking think of. This thing standing on hind legs, thinking like a man, but an incredibly base and evil one, intentionally causing destruction and havoc. Like that is what we think of when we think of, or at least it's what I think of when I think of. I mean, fucking Dog Soldiers we've talked about before. The reason that movie is because it's full on what I think of when I think of a werewolf.
Yeah.
Back to those Dog Soldiers for a second. The reason I think John Landis wanted those is because he knew in 40 years' time, NECA would be making action figures of them, and I'd be collecting them.
Dude, honestly, if you are employed in Hollywood in any type of filmmaking capacity, or at least as far as like the production and creation side goes, I fully believe if you are not considering merchandising, you should probably get into a different line.
Yeah.
I mean, like George Lucas taught that lesson to fucking everyone.
Yep. Absolutely.
Either way, The Howling.
Yeah. That's a great film.
Yeah.
I'm going to bounce back to zombies with my next one.
Nice.
Because you mentioned it about Return of the Living, compared it to Return of the Living Dead. Might as well just go with Evil Dead 2.
That was on my list.
So,
I actually didn't name the Evil Deads because I knew one of you would.
yeah.
Because I wanted to. I really wanted to.
Right.
Somebody's going to get this for no reason.
Yeah.
And it was such a toss-up because I was like, which one do I put? It was like, because like you just said, it's just the same movie, just with a better budget.
A better budget with a tack on that creates a universe.
Absolutely.
It was the Evil Dead when it first came out. So like when the first Evil Dead, when I saw it, I later went to, when I was in elementary school, I went to my school library, which then this should tell you about the fucking 80s. Once again, anybody who's watching this had like an entire section, and I can't remember what the actual section was, but there was nothing but special effects books. Like the way in which you would achieve stuff. Like they had stuff going back to Boris Karloff's Mummy, like just using oatmeal and fucking latex to create like a modeled nasty effect on the skin and shit like that, right? But they had the Evil Dead. It didn't explain the story, but they had some of the images as well as how they achieved it, and that was the original. You look at and she doesn't, with the exception of the claymation stop motion shit, she doesn't get much appreciation in the second part. But his girlfriend, what, Linda?
Yeah,
I think. Yeah. In the first one, it's all just like pancake fucking stage makeup with like basically semi-opaque egg white contact lenses.
Yeah.
Right. The second one, though, they were like, "Fuck it, we got money." See what we do. And they came up with a stop motion bitch with a chainsaw and without a head.
Yeah, that people were like, I saw the Evil Dead because my then wife had a copy of Army of Darkness, but she didn't have Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2. So she was like, let's watch Army of Darkness. I was like, okay. She's like, have you seen Evil Dead? And I was like, no. And she goes, wait, we can't watch Army of Darkness then. I was like, you have Evil Dead? She goes, no. And I was like, then why the hell did you even say it? Like, it's just.
I don't know. Craig,
But,
how do you
like-
feel? Do you think you can watch Army of Darkness without Evil Dead? I mean, granted, it drops you in the middle of something, but do you think you can enjoy it as a standalone?
I mean, you could.
I
mean, I could definitely
I
see
think I
enjoying it
could.
as a standalone.
Just Bruce Campbell, man. I'd watch that guy do pretty much anything on
Yeah.
camera.
Oh, I fell in
He'd
love
even
with
play
him
Elvis.
through Evil Dead too. Yeah. Yes. Craig, what you got next?
Demons 2.
Oh,
Demons
you
2.
clever bastard.
It is the one movie that
Another
actually
one
I
I
feel
think I
like,
just found one out.
you know,
What's that, Craig?
there's big like notions of what I remember watching as a kid, and that is one of those movies because we happened to have the VHS. And I mean, I didn't know anything
Right.
about Argento or anything like that. I just, you know, I just loved the movies and the covers, and that cover really appealed to me. And I ended up being
The
like, I
fucking
watched that movie like twice a day. Yeah,
Yeah,
Dude.
that movie is
yeah.
incredible.
When he
That was
comes
how-
out of
that
like
was
when the
the-
demons come out of the TV, it's
That was the apartment, right? The parents
Yeah.
were having the party. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
when that demon comes out of the TV, like that actually honestly gave me nightmares more than anything.
I think they're
His
just
facial features were good.
well, you had was that the one that ended at the movie theater, or was that part 3? Or shit, was that part 1?
That was part 1, I think. I
Part
can't
1.
even remember now.
Well, I think it was part 1. That was where the model puts the mask on, it cuts her.
Yeah,
The visual effects from that, and they were, I mean, they don't stand up today, but like for what they were working with at the time, shit, it's visceral. It's fucking nasty. It's supposed to be in kids. Same thing with Demons 2. Just the idea of being trapped in an environment where you cannot control what the fuck is happening, and there's no way to cut off the outlet. Like shit's just gonna keep coming in. You cannot stop it. It's a
Yeah.
hopeless fucking.
Eh,
Plus,
I
it
had
like
to add that.
it focused on so many different people. You know what I mean? Like the storyline was
Oh yeah.
intense because everybody had their own like plot. Like, oh, they went through like 7 different apartments. Here's the characters, and
They did, and there was no one like you were correct, but there was no like there does eventually become a hero, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they don't tell you who it's going to be because you keep
Yeah.
jumping to people, and every one of them ends up as fucking one of the possessed, one of the
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like it is not. The futility inherent in that movie is actually like it's a great movie by itself, but when you really break it down and think about it, that is a pretty fucked up horror movie. It was actually one of the first that I remember seeing where I was like, "Oh shit, bad things happen. You can't stop
Yeah.
it."
Yeah. But I definitely saw the second one before the first. I can say that much.
That's how I saw the Underworld movies.
Yeah.
You didn't. I don't.
Oh,
I don't. Dislike
I
The
understand.
Underworld. I don't dislike the Underworld movies. I should point that out. They're great, brainless, fucking comic book style action movies.
Yeah.
And honestly, I like their take on fucking werewolves and even their take on vampires. I like the idea that like a patriarch can sleep for fucking centuries because what's the point? You live forever, you get bored. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not it like
There's only so much you can do.
yeah, it's like I like the whole concept. I like the fact that there's this eternal war thing going on, but then again, that's like a classic setup for any movie.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't like that? That's
It's
a
just-
solid
yeah.
fucking base.
Yeah.
Right. But back on the rails. Jason, what you got next?
All right, let's see here. I guess we're going out of order now because you guys have fucked up my list. I barely know. Like that's the whole problem. Like when we were, I think we all talked about it, compiling these lists.
Yeah.
It was a problem all by itself because so many of these are just flat out iconic. So I don't
Yeah.
even know what to go with. The one I would like to go with attaches to Craig's, but I'm not going to because I know he's got that on there. So there's
Oh,
no.
say it.
I'm going to go with
say
Videodrome.
Video.
Yeah, I do have it on there.
Yeah, Videodrome 1983.
I've never
Oh
seen
wait,
that
no,
one
I
either.
don't have that on there. I misheard you.
Videodrome would have been, for me at least, my first introduction to body horror, like the
Okay.
Cronenberg body horror, and it's a
Yeah.
Cronenberg movie, right?
Right.
So the setup, like when I first saw it, I was really young. I did not understand it at all, but the visuals alone were enough to keep me going to it. You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
the way it was assembled was enough. Also, Deborah Harry being
Yeah.
one of the main characters was a great thing to me. I mean, I barely knew who she was, but I recognized her. James Woods
Right.
as well, which
Yeah.
that's fucking. I don't give a shit about the
Ooh,
guy's
piece of
personal.
candy.
I don't care about his politics. I like him as an actor. There's very few things I've seen him in where I've been like, no. He's been like fucking Casino. I mean,
Yeah.
shit. The fucking Carpenter Vampires. He was
Mhm.
wonderful in that. He was incredible.
Yeah.
Hades and fucking Hercules, the Disney movie, just his voice acting alone, he's got solid presence, and he brought it
Yep.
in Videodrome.
Yeah.
Like he's
Right.
hard not to look at, and there's so much that goes on in that movie. I mean, it's not a. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. There's a lot that was semi-prophetic, and the fact that like the base of it being that there was user-generated content creating a channel that you could pay to watch, which obviously at the time 83, so
Mhm.
a channel
Yeah.
you could pay to watch where people like they were snuff films and fucking hardcore pornography and just terrible shit,
Right.
added to the fact that it warped people. So when I say
Yep.
semi-prophetic, I mean let's look at the general view of the internet now. I mean, there's anything you can imagine, anything you could want to see, it's at your fingertips. You just have to know
Yeah.
how to look. You can find
Yeah.
it. And that's like Videodrome is that thought run so amok.
You're right.
It's like if you have not seen it, you should see it. Take time. Consider the fact that the movie was made in 1983. Don't be a dick. Watch
Right.
it.
For sure. Absolutely. Give everything a chance. Videodrome. Yeah, I gotta add that to my watch list now. It's getting longer, guys.
Bear in mind also, you will be. It's not a happy movie. Not a single part of it is happy.
No.
Right. No, I'm prepared. But I mentioned I had a remake on my list, and I'm gonna name it now. The Fly.
Oh, good one. Another Cronenberg flick.
Yes, sir. Why? Jeff Goldblum.
Understandable.
Yeah.
2 words, Jeff Goldblum. That's all you need. One of the greatest transformations in all of cinema. It's gross. Like you want total gross out factor, watch The Fly.
That movie used to go. I think I've told you guys on previous installments that we had HBO growing up because we had a neighbor that knew how to climb the fucking utility pole and hook it up.
Yeah.
That movie, after it hit HBO, man, I used to, once again, little kid, sit up and watch like it because that's what HBO played at the time.
Right.
Past midnight,
Yeah.
they didn't do any of the real sex shit. They just did horror movies,
Mhm.
and that's like I would wake up at like 1 a.m. and be like, I can't sleep.
Yeah.
Let's go watch that shit. You know what I mean? So, like sitting there, like that was my first introduction to The Fly. The very first time that I caught it was from the scene in which he's arm wrestling the dude and fucking throws up on his arm. And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
Also, later bought the DVD shortly after it came out on DVD
Mhm.
and the director's commentary. And did you guys ever hear about the deleted scene with the baboon?
Um,
Okay,
No.
so there was actually like as much horrific shit is in that movie, and there is a lot of horrific shit. He sends a cat and a baboon through to test. I think it's a cat. Maybe it's a dog. I can't remember.
oh,
This was a very long time ago. I read about. The point of the matter is that scene was too much for anybody rating it, and even he agreed later that it went too far.
wow.
It was a minute and 20 seconds long, and they cut it, and it immediately dropped it from an X to a fucking R.
Yeah.
Damn.
None of the profanity, none of the other scenes, none of the fucking vomit, none of anything else. That one scene.
Jesus. Insane. I just know it's been a long time since I've seen it, but every time I think about it, I just see his like half transformed face.
Yeah.
It's just such an iconic scene in horror. Because it's just so,
Peels off.
yeah, like when his skin's peeling off and
Yep.
shit. It's like, damn. Like I said, you want gross? Watch The Fly.
Also talk about another sad moment. Like that was also one of the first. Like, and bear in mind, I was very young when I saw it. I mean, granted, I've always had let's call it an affinity for monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even when I was a little kid, I was a firm believer that most monsters were probably not bad. They were just misunderstood, which I know sounds crazy, but I honestly thought that. Like I remember when I was a little kid, I was like, "Why am I gonna be mad at Dracula? He has to eat." Like that's how I thought about
Yeah.
it.
That makes
Even
sense.
the Mummy,
It's a fair argument.
right? Well, even the Mummy, it was like, dude, you guys fuck his tomb up. His burial
right.
site. Fuck you.
Of
You know,
course
like,
it's
granted, I didn't think about it like that, but it was a similar concept.
Right.
But The Fly, the remake, was one of the first, because of the ending, was one of the first movies I'd ever seen where the monster, like, even a little kid, I got kind of teary because it's not what you hope for.
Right.
I mean, in the 80s especially, it's the underdog rising to the challenge and overcoming the impossible. That is something that we were led to believe is a real outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're a horror movie fan.
Yeah.
Yep. I can't think of a better way to put it. Greg, what's next?
Okay, what do we got next? Day of the Dead.
Of course, Bob. That is just that fucking
Yeah, I mean,
scene.
Bub is iconic in himself. I mean,
Yeah,
Oh, no,
for
he
real.
is, right?
there is way too much about that movie that I enjoyed to even begin to describe. Like, that was my
When
first
he pulls the
real
trigger on the
introduction to
gun,
like gore. Yeah.
it's like his eyes get like that fucking big.
Even the melodrama, like
Forget, you know, people being ripped in half and being like, choke on him, choke on him.
like, even the melodrama of it, like the one that, you know, everybody talks about once again, it's an iconic moment, but the nightmare of her standing in front of the wall and looking at the calendar.
Yeah.
And like the dream, it's actually a dream, but just because of how long she's been there and the arms reaching through and her, like that whole scene, people make fun of it. They're like, that was so badly acted, except for it's grown on me as the years have gone by. Like it's not, I don't even see it as melodrama anymore. I see it as an appropriate moment to signify the level of insanity going on.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that's a good scene. There's no part of that. Even the fucking crazy ass doctor with his fucking bloodstained lab coat, Bub's best friend, like his whole thing.
Yeah.
One of the most impressive characters of the movie, because man, you do want to know what the fuck he's doing.
Right?
Like what?
Holy shit.
You get the military all over the scientist's ass. Why aren't they paying attention to that guy a little better? 'Cause what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, you know, we love Romero here, and it's just more of Romero doing what Romero did.
Yeah.
Finally, after applying a copyright too.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You learned the hard way with Night of the Living Dead, but
Hey, not for that, man, we would have missed out on a fuck ton of great movies, though.
you're not wrong.
They would've. And I'm sorry for his loss, because Romero gave birth to our concept of a zombie.
Yeah.
He created them. The idea of these things coming, it's like even in Return of the Living Dead 1 and 2, these semi-formed, fucking half-deteriorated things climbing their way out of a grave. That's a Romero thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hold on. Yeah. And I think we've talked about it before with the remakes of like Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
The fast zombies. I like the idea that if it's a fresh zombie, it'd be fast. There's no rigor mortis, there's no muscle deterioration. It makes
Exactly.
sense. But the idea of a slow, unstoppable fucking thing that is existentially terrifying.
Yeah.
Like eventually there are more dead people than alive people on this planet.
Yep.
That's not true anymore, is it? It's like 7 billion.
Yeah, I don't know. There's 8 billion people on the planet today.
I feel like it'd be pretty even, but even then, you got a 2-for-1
By this
fucking
point,
fight on your
probably.
No.
And if enough of it, and then that was always also when you look at the Return or any of the Dead movies, it wasn't so much like it was what was going on. It was dealing with what was happening, but even more than that, it was dealing with the fact that if any of them grouped,
Mhm.
you were fucked.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
You know, it like yeah,
You only got so many bullets.
well, exactly. Not even just that, but like you know, you got like in the Night of the Living Dead remake, which was my introduction to the series, and I'm happy it was because man, great remake. You know,
That's the Tom Savini remake, right?
Yes, but when you have what's her name, Barbara at the end continually telling them they're so slow, you could walk right by them. They're so slow.
Yeah.
She's right, but unfortunately, like when you really break it down, she's not considering the fact that when confronted with any problem, any group of people that doesn't know each other, at least, is going to prioritize their own survival and disregard everything else. Consequently, you know, she was correct. They could have just walked right the fuck out, but nobody would listen to her because they were too concerned about themselves.
Yep.
I don't know. It's a once again great call. Good movie.
Yeah. Another thing Romero did was he exposed the selfishness of people.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
What's even so the original Night of the Living Dead, from what I understand, a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is a racial thing. This is supposed to represent like racial equality and the fact that like people are just so forth and so on." He never looked at it like that at all. I can understand where the thought come from, especially at the time it was released.
Right in the middle of the civil rights movement.
Yeah, but that was not it at all. The whole idea was the fact that there is no such thing as a cohesive unit when faced with a traumatic situation.
Yeah.
No matter what skin color is.
And even, I mean, part 2 was an anti-consumerist thing, and part 3 was flat out an anti-authoritarian thing.
Yep.
Like all 3 of those movies had a solid and simple point.
Exactly.
Also, one of the better reasons for zombies existing.
100%.
When hell is full, the dead will rise. Like that. It was so no aliens, no fucking
chemicals. An iconic line.
Yeah, just when hell is full, the dead will rise to walk the earth.
Yeah.
Like there's no more room in hell. That's the reason this is fucking happening.
Yeah.
Which incidentally says a lot about how he looked at society in general, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
All they did was rejoin you.
Jason, what do you got next for us?
All right, phone shut off. Sorry, I had tangented.
You're golden.
All right, so next on the list, actually, I deleted one in order to add this.
Okay.
Once again, because I know that Craig actually has one that goes on here. Scanners.
Scanners. I thought that was another one I thought about. I left out.
Scanner. First off, once again, back to the shifty neighbor that knew how to climb a fucking utility. HBO Scanners. This is another one of those movies that would come on late at night when I should have been sleeping. When I was younger, I didn't understand it, right? But what's crazy is even the bad guy, Michael Ironside playing the bad guy. I liked him more than any other character in the movie.
He's a great bad guy.
As an actor.
He's a great bad guy. He always plays a bad guy.
Oh, he's a great character actor. Man, he's fucking good in everything you put him in. He is
Total Recall.
Yeah, brilliant. He's a
even Terminator Salvation. He was fantastic.
Well, I mean, it's like Craig and I were unfortunate enough to watch this movie that I purchased because there was a lot of hype behind it called Tin Can. This movie was fucking god awful. Like, it's got great reviews on iTunes and a couple of other sites because people are stupid and don't know what the fuck they're watching.
It was bad.
It was real bad. Like, there's very few times where I watch a movie and by the end of it, I'm like, man, I don't give a fuck about a single character in this movie.
I hope
Michael Ironside was in the movie. That was part of the reason that I fucking got it.
Yeah.
He was stupid. He was only in it for about a minute and a half. Other than that, it was voiceover work for about 2 minutes.
So you get robbed.
I was baited because of fucking scanners. And once again, Cronenberg, I believe, with scanners. That was another body horror sort of situation.
Yeah.
That movie it was an introduction, at least as a younger kid, it was an introduction to like psychic phenomena and government interference and fucking like people with power using it to affect people without. You know, like the entire movie still holds up today. I could watch it right now and be just as happy as I was when I was a kid and finally started to grasp what I was seeing.
Right.
Anyway, Scanners.
Scan.
Yeah, that's another one I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
I wish I could add more to add to that. But Craig, you have anything to add?
No, I haven't seen that movie in a long time, just like you. His actual like saying it just refreshed my memory of.
Right. Yeah, it's just
It
like
does
man, I
have
need
one
to
of the
watch
most
this.
iconic VHS covers of the 80s.
It does.
And that would be
That's a good cover.
Michael Ironside in illustrated format. I think it was an oil painting.
Yeah.
Like with his head thrown back, his eyes solid white, all of his veins standing out, and fire bursting out all of it.
Yeah.
Like it was a known cover. Like there were posters of that fucking thing everywhere. Even if you hadn't seen the movie, you know the poster.
For sure. Right. All right. This is number 10 on our list. And after this, we're going to take a break. And then we'll come back and Craig will kick us off. But let me see. Which one? I can't believe none of us have said this one. So I'm going to say it. Clive Barker's Hellraiser.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's on my list.
It is not on my list because I moved it so many times. I moved so many things to make this list. It's ridiculous. And some of the stuff is so basic, but I didn't want to let it go.
Right. But
then again, Hellraiser has always been like bottom tier for me for some reason. I don't know. I did
Not
love
bad.
the remake though.
And it was a
I
great
haven't
remake.
watched it
You're
yet.
good with it.
I haven't watched it yet, but I will. I promise. But
Oh, fuck
yeah,
me.
Pinhead. Like you just,
I didn't put Hellraiser on my list either. I know I looked at it. I wanted.
I stand alone.
No, well, it's, my thoughts were like if I put Hellraiser on, I had to remove a bunch of other shit,
Right.
and I didn't want to. Here's the thing, though: Hellraiser is a. Well, I think we talked about this. It was either on Dad Minted or another one of our things, where Clive Barker. The whole reason that he made Hellraiser was because Rawhead Rex turned out so bad.
Yeah.
Rawhead Rex was. I mean, it was also based off of one of his stories out of the Books of Blood. And like his exact words, he thought that the special practical effects for the creature for Rawhead made him look like a giant raw penis. And what's funny is if you think about it in those terms and you watch it again, because I watched it recently, I was like, oh fuck me, he really does look like a big angry dick.
Now I'm gonna have to watch that again just to see for myself.
Yeah.
It's bad. The shape of his head, everything they did with him, and it was all jaws with a little point. Like it was when you watch it, consider the way Clive Barker took it.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue that. Like I understand why he thought that, but either way, he decided he was going to direct his next possible feature, which turned out to be Hellraiser. In order to do that, he checked out a book on directing from the library a week beforehand. So when you consider that, and then you consider the effects and the fact that it is a truly standout feature, except for Craig, a truly standout feature for most people.
It stood out for me my entire life.
I mean, I'm not
Stood out
saying
for
I
me
don't
my
like it.
entire
It's
life.
just out of
It's not
all the
not
big
Chainsaw.
names,
It's
it's
not
bottom
Nightmare
tier
on Elm
for me.
Street.
It's a different type of.
The fact is, though,
Yeah.
if you haven't seen Hellraiser, you still know who Pinhead is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what a
That's
Cenobite
exactly
is.
why.
That you know what the
Yeah.
Le Merchant configuration. You know the box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, like there are certain things that he managed to make. Here it is, 40 fucking years later. Things that kids who have never seen the movie and never will still recognize.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
Because it's everywhere.
you mentioned the remake. I mean, they made the remake because they brought it to a whole new generation of people.
Yep.
And also, they did a great job on that motherfucker. It was
Yeah, they did.
I've heard great things about it. Absolutely, I need to watch it. But yeah, like you said, Pinhead. Like I saw him everywhere growing up.
Oh yeah,
Like it did not matter. Go to the mall. There's a Pinhead poster at Spencer's. You know what I mean?
But that's what I mean. He's real like mainline, but out of mainline horror, he's like bottom tier for me. So It's not that I wouldn't. It's not
That's
that I
fair.
don't enjoy the Hellraiser franchise. It's just I don't know. I prefer everything else above it.
That's all right.
You don't go nuts over it like everybody else.
Yeah,
No, it's a subjective deal, dude. There's no like
It really is.
yeah.
It's kind of like beer. It's an acquired taste.
Mm,
part of the reason that I was so enamored with the Hellraiser stuff was probably also because I saw part 2 before I ever saw part 1.
yeah.
Right.
And part 2 was fucking good.
Then why didn't you go in the
But-
bathroom?
All right. So let's go ahead and cut to a break.
All right.
And we'll come back and Craig, you'll kick us off.
Yep.
The phone zombies are very, very dead. But they're not in their graves. And they're not walking the night. They're in the phone lines and they've got your number. Want bears? Dial 1-900-490-DEAD. Randomly selected callers get to talk to me live in the flesh. When you reach me, you'll wish you never called. Only $2 a call.
Last year, you were terrified by House. Now there's an all-new House. With brand new owners.
Is she a virgin? Because I've never seen one before.
We got a little problem in the other room. Better come have a look.
And the place is really coming to life.
Thanks, Charlie.
House 2, the second story.
I've seen enough tragedy and disaster to make you want to upchuck in your shorts.
Rated PG-13.
Starts Friday, July 10th at a theater near you.
All right. We're back. Craig, what do you got for us? Number 11.
Well, I wanted to stay out of franchises, but I couldn't help it. Dream Child, Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Nice.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Okay.
My favorite out of all of them.
Say it, dude. Absolutely. Absolutely. Some of the most brutal shit in any of the fucking movies. Added to which it was the one where Freddy really came into his own as the main character.
Mm.
Right.
Great movie.
I mean, the
And
TV
honestly, the fucking
scene
alarm
alone.
scene.
What's that?
Well,
Yeah.
when you everybody, like, you always talk about the puppet scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously everybody knows that scene, and it's because it is the idea that your shit's just going to get ripped down. You're going to be fucking yeah.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, the one that always got me worse was the kid, the dungeon master kid.
Oh, yeah.
The whole, like, going back to that whole thing, like, for some odd reason, even when I was younger, that particular death or that particular thing, that was worse to me. Well, that and the drug addict chick.
Yeah. The drug habit chick was insane.
Well, just because of the fucking sucking wounds. You
Yeah.
know, literally that whole thing looking like little mouths and then both fingers coming up. That syringe, that scene. Let's be fair, man. There was a point in the 80s where people were just like, fuck it, can we make this happen? I don't know, let's try.
Right. Yeah.
Robert E.,
So
a classically trained Shakespearean actor. Do you think you can do this? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Throw some latex on me and a hat.
he nailed it. But I have to confess, I had to change my answer here because I had Nightmare on Elm Street 2, but then you mentioned the blood sucking like wounds and shit, and it was just like, no, it's got to be 3.
Scene, man. That scene will fucking get you.
Yeah.
As you're talking about it, it's all just coming back to me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
The vein scene too, like the puppet scene is iconic for a reason. I mean, the whole idea of being completely helpless of what's coming, like set up for it with his marionettes, like growing claws and cutting the cords, like immediately as an audience member who's invested in the fucking film, all you're thinking is, man, get out. And then you remember he can't, he's asleep, he's unconscious.
Yeah.
He's in full control of this horrible fucking thing now. What's going to happen? The worst possible shit. I mean, like,
right.
The arteries ripping from the ankles up through the legs, and then the fucking arteries ripping, like the veins and arteries ripping out to the fucking palms. And I forgot what the character's name is, but just the way the actor is like looking at the base of his wrist as he's standing on, that is a cringe-inducing moment. Like, I mean, we're like, body horror is body horror. is easily in the top 10 body horror fucking moments.
Wes Craven.
Yeah, fucking brilliant. Also, the introduction of Kincaid, great character,
Yes, very true.
and also a survivor. Which at the time, I know we talk about it, but there's a lot of horror movies from this time period. It's an understood and formulaic thing. If there's a black dude in the cast, that dude is the first victim.
Yeah.
Not Kincaid.
Nope.
He may have been the first victim in the next movie, but that wasn't Wes Craven, so I'm going to let it go.
He broke down.
All right, so there are two movies, like there's Night of the Demons and fucking Nightmare on Elm Street 3 are the first two horror movies that I ever saw in which the black guy survived.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, being a younger kid, like it changed my perspective on how a movie should be done.
Yeah.
Like, because it suddenly caught up. Like, I mean, it was before the internet, it was before anybody talking about it. Because, like, what, I was going to go to fucking elementary and middle school and talk to a bunch of people. Like, what, did they live in my neighborhood and have access to fucking cable from the one? No. So it was the first time I ever realized on my own, well, shit, why do black people always fucking die in these movies first? Like, it suddenly becomes apparent because you've seen people live in these two movies, or at least for
No, I totally
even, you know, the remake of fucking Night of the Living Dead. I mean, it's like that. Oh shit, he's gonna. No, he doesn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he's still killed.
Oh. But yeah.
Random.
Three. Some of the grossest scenes, I guess you can say, as far as body horror. Like up there with The Fly for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You got arteries hanging out of your wrists and ankles and Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
The complete helplessness, the complete inability to make it not happen.
Yeah.
You know, even though you know what's going on. Like, and that actually, I'll be honest with you, if you stop and think about it, that scene probably more accurately conveyed Craven's fucking thoughts on a dream demon fucking thing.
Yeah.
Better than any other scene in any other Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Just that moment.
Yeah.
Being this is you, this is where you are, this is your reality, and it's about to end, and you fucking know it and can't do shit.
Right. Yep. 100%. Damn, that's another rewatch I got to do.
Oh, it's on HBO Plus right now.
Sweet. Jason, what do you got next?
Right, where we at? Now that I'm skipping around, I got to actually pay attention to what I'm doing. All right, From Beyond, 1986, Stuart Gordon.
Okay. I haven't seen that one.
Please do. Once again, back to body horror, but more importantly, based on an H.P. Lovecraft concept.
Yeah.
So
right.
the guy that created the animator, the guy that could, like the dude that created the entire Cthulhu mythos.
Yeah.
From Beyond is attached to all that via Miskatonic University and a bunch of other shit. The acting, in my opinion, is fucking great. You know, Jeffrey Combs is once again one of those iconic fucking actors. He's one of those dudes that run into him in a horror convention. From what I understand, he's a really nice guy too. I've never had a chance to meet him, but that's what I've been led to believe. His characters are always way over the top. Like if you think like Reanimator as West, way over the top, but it still fits the bill. Same thing with From Beyond. And the fucking effects in that movie. 1986, the effects were so far ahead of their fucking time, it's not even describable. Right. The acting, the fucking story to it, all of it is absolutely awesome. I actually don't even want to talk about it anymore because you haven't seen it. If you really are going to watch it, I would like you to watch it fresh.
Okay.
Like it is, if it may not even be something that impresses
you. Go in blind.
Go in blind.
I like going
enjoy
in
the
blind.
story for what it is because it is original. It is so fucking unique.
Yeah.
Right on.
It's just, I mean, like I said, the acting, the direction. Stuart Gordon is an incredible director. He does great jobs with HP shit. He is, and obviously, you know, Robot Jocks was good too. But he's a fucking great actor. His actors are fucking wonderful. The story was well written. It was a good adaptation. The effects are, I mean, they still hold up today, in my opinion. And this is no CGI. It's all practical. It's all like, they still work. So
yeah, definitely.
let it go from there. Add it to the list. Please do watch it.
I did. It's a From Beyond.
Yep.
On the list. But
back to you.
I'm going to go to The Godfather.
Yeah.
The Shining.
Nice.
That was on my list.
Awesome.
I think I got
all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
And Stanley Kubrick pissed Stephen King off.
Yes, absolutely. But we can't deny that it's a great movie.
No, it's fucking wonderful. It's still great now.
Oh yeah, like vastly like differs from the book.
Yeah.
But if you look at it as a standalone project aside from being based on the book, then you could kind of appreciate it for what it is.
I mean, it's
which is what because I saw the movie before I saw
right.
the book. And don't get me wrong, the book is better, but I can still watch The Shining as though it's not based on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think that's true with any King movie. You have to like detach yourself from the book to see the movie because it's going to be so different.
To do that. For sure.
Oh no, absolutely. And well, also like Kubrick's approach to The Shining, he made the like some of the shit. I mean, obviously, I bet anybody who's ever seen a documentary on it knows all this, but there's so much shit that went into it. Like the fact that none of the shots add up to a fucking building that could actually exist. Like
right.
they're, like one of the main things, and like people like I didn't realize it until somebody pointed out, but it does. It's set there to make you a little uneasy because subconsciously you do. But the fact that they are actually underground in their staff quarters, even though they have to go upstairs to get to it, like that as the family, added to the fact that the rooms have windows in places they couldn't have windows. They have fucking like the office is in a place that it could not be. The fucking like all of it, the way it's set up is absolutely the single point perspective shit, which is where Kubrick really, really shone through. Was his whole thing. That is a claustrophobia inducing movie. It's not just people were fucking, and also it's insanity captured on film. Like every fucking character in that movie, Jack Nicholson, obviously.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, even then, for that matter, Shelley Duvall, God bless her, being tortured to get that fucking.
That poor woman.
Yeah. Oh Jesus Christ. God. Her fucking, and he did it. What kills me about that is he did it on purpose. I'm thinking he was the Hitchcock fan because Hitchcock used to do that shit to Tippi Hedren.
Yes, he did. Kubrick definitely drew inspiration.
Oh, easily.
Like heavy inspiration.
Well, it's like I love the movie. I love the movie. Knowing how that scene was made doesn't change the fact that I love the movie.
Agree.
But the fact that it was done, and when you like knowing what I know now and watching it, every time we get to that scene, I feel fucking terrible for how well it works.
Yeah.
You know,
it sucks that they had to do that. Kubrick did what he did to get that.
I bet money he didn't have to do it. I guarantee
you.
Oh,
hell no, he didn't have to. That's why I didn't. That's why I started to say that, but I stopped myself. I was like,
he forced it because he wanted a real reaction to a fantastic situation, which is an absurd request.
You know, that's the kind of shit you got to do. Like on the first take, you see a reaction you really like, you do another take, then you do another take, and you do another take, and you compare those reactions to the original reaction, it's just not as good. So you go with the first one because it was real.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, that's
what I'm saying.
There were stories like that in all. I can't even remember immediately specific movies, but I read about them all the time. Wherein like somebody pulls a scene exactly the way they should on the first take, but they try to shoot extra roll just in case they have to cut, or in case there might be a better possible way to do it.
Right.
And they will end up torturing an actor for like 5 or 6 takes just to make sure they have backup,
Yep.
only to use the first take.
Yep.
Which is, I mean, oh, boohoo, poor actor. But at the same time, seriously, from a mental standpoint, that's gotta fucking suck.
That's where I credit Quentin Tarantino, because in Django Unchained, when Leonardo DiCaprio smashes that glass and cuts his hand,
Kept
that
rolling.
really happened.
Yeah, no, and he kept rolling. He
That
was like,
really
"Fuck,
happened.
fine with it."
Quentin kept rolling, and the whole scene is one, like,
It's
never
cohesive
cut
and it's
away.
perfect. And to my knowledge, during that speech, there's no edit, but there is a moment. There's a very brief moment when you watch that where you see the other actors around him responding. And the thing is, like, once again, knowing that that actually happened,
Yeah.
you understand what they're responding to. But the fact that Tarantino chose to just like, well, fuck it, he's already fucked.
Yep.
It works in the movie.
And if you watch Kerry Washington's face when he puts his hand on her face and rubs the blood all over her,
Oh, that's
that
real
reaction's real.
disgust. Yeah, it's fucking great.
She's terrified. She's fucking terrified because she doesn't know what the hell's going on. So that's what I'm saying. Kubrick, he should have done that. You know what I mean? Caught the candid reactions like
Did
that.
you guys ever see the miniseries remake?
But he didn't.
It was ABC.
I didn't.
Great.
I heard about it. but I
Fucking
didn't follow it.
incredible, dude. It was actually it was way more based around the book, and oddly enough, of all people, dude from Wings.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but he was also in a recent movie made for Netflix. It was, let's call it a horror movie called The Perfection. I can't remember his name, but he's an incredible actor. He's really fucking good, and you would not know it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because everybody thinks of him and thinks Steven something. Everybody thinks of him and thinks Wings.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember
He
his
played
name.
Jack Torrance, man, and he fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
Sinister, sympathetic, depressing, sad, and you hope for him even though you know the ending won't happen.
Right.
Which is saying something
Okay.
when you got an adult versus a little kid, when you're still sort of pulling. Steven Winger? No, Steven. Fuck me, this is gonna piss me off.
Oh, there he goes.
I have to know. If I don't know, I'm not gonna be able to sleep.
I understand. But the fucking, like, the movie though, like the Hedge Maze. You got Scatman Carruthers.
Stephen Weber.
Yeah,
Steven
Weber.
Weber.
Okay.
Yeah, what's funny, the Hedgemaids was done, like it was in the book or was mentioned, but it was actually the topiaries that were the bad guys.
Right.
They were the terrifying thing. And like Kubrick's decision to make it something where you didn't know if it was just Jackson's insanity or if it was legitimately a real full-on supernatural occurrence was a great decision, or at least at the time it was. It does take away from the book story. It definitely does that, because I mean the book pulls you in, and it once again it actually does what the miniseries does. You hope, because you can read the inner thoughts. You hope things are going to work out even though you know they won't.
Right.
There is no hope in Kubrick's version of The Shining.
Yeah,
it's just a straight descent to the bottom.
Yep. Like you start going downhill and it never stops.
Nope.
Yeah.
Shit, it goes faster.
It picks up more speed.
The precipice it just like the fucking Christmas Vacation thing with Clark on the fucking
Right.
The fireballs.
When he waxes up his sled.
Later, dudes.
It's almost that time of year, folks.
Oh no. That movie will be on every other day here for an entire month.
Fucking A. Greg, what do you got next?
Let's see. Halloween 3.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for you to say.
I was expecting that too.
When I was growing up, it was
Season
like
of
the
the
most hated movie ever. Now everybody loves it, but I have always loved it. I have always thought it was a great movie.
Well, yeah, because if you look at it through fresh eyes and knowing the original plan for the Halloween series was not to be a singular character, then it's gonna be a great fucking movie. If you like, if you've never seen any of the Halloween movies and you decide to watch them in order, when you get to part 3, you're gonna be like, well, why the hell didn't they continue doing that? Well, it's because it got a negative reaction when it was released.
Also,
Because Michael Myers.
I think it's dark.
Yes.
dark
Yeah.
fucking.
It
There's some
is.
nasty shit that happens in that movie, way worse than ever happens in most
Yeah.
of the Halloweens.
Yep. Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
fuck, Michael
And
Myers wants to
it's-
kill a specific family member. Fucking at Halloween 3, man, the Shamrock Corporation was trying to sacrifice an entire nation's children in order to
Yeah.
fucking
Yup.
bring about the apocalypse. Like, that is dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude. You don't need Michael Myers for that. Like, they could have done. It could have been like American Horror Story before American Horror Story, but
God, no.
in movies,
Should have been.
Mm.
And I bet Carpenter would have stuck with it. I bet money
Yeah,
if the studio had fucked right off after they got their cash grab on part 2, that he would have stuck with it. We would have had like fucking 15 parts.
oh
Yeah.
man, and it'd probably be amazing.
Eh,
Like,
it is what it is. I mean, it's fucking horror history at this point, and it
Right.
gives something for the people our age to look back on and be like, "Man, you guys fucking screwed the pooch." But
Yep.
at the same time, we didn't know. Like when I was a
Yeah,
kid,
no.
don't get me wrong, I liked the movie before I knew it was a Halloween sequel.
Mhm.
Like when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, this is a good movie. What the hell's happening?" It was only after I'd seen it like 2 or 3 times where I found out, like, because I finally caught it from the beginning. Halloween 3.
right,
What were the first 2? And then it hit me.
right.
And I was like, what does this have to do with fucking Michael Myers? This means nothing. And I get that as a reaction. I understand that
Mhm.
as a reaction, especially at the time. I mean, there's no internet, there's no ability to talk about it. There's no way to put out a press junket saying, no, hold off.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a step towards something greater.
Yeah.
But it's still a great choice, Greg, because it is
I
a
agree.
fucking wonderful movie, and it
I had
deserves rewatches. It deserves fucking accolades. It was a
Yep.
brilliant idea that didn't need to come to fruition.
for sure.
Plus, had Tom
Jason.
fucking what's his
Oh, sorry.
I'm
Sorry.
Atkins.
Tom. No,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Tom Atkins, man,
Um,
that motherfucker. I'll watch him in anything.
Yep.
All right, so
Yeah.
which, by the way, leads to
Yeah.
my next movie, Night of the Creeps.
Oh, Night of the Creeps. Okay. I do not have that.
Night of the Creeps was
I think I saw that when I was like,
starts off with an
9.
alien sneaking a bioweapon off of a ship.
Yeah.
And it's this whole thing, like this alien
vaguely familiar.
ends up on
Vaguely
Earth, and then
familiar.
there's a college wherein these 2 guys that you actually go kind of attached to in a weird sort of way. It's actually one of the first horror movies I remember watching when I was younger that made me sad at one point. Like I actually got teary as a little kid,
Mhm.
just based off of a recording in a slow pan into a bathroom stall. It didn't even
Right.
show anything. It showed a fucking leg, but it was enough to make me sad and teary.
Right.
And bear in mind, this character only had like 10 minutes of screen time. It shouldn't have been that, but it was. It was
Right.
well put together. Also,
Yeah.
the guy who later directed directed and wrote the Monster Squad. That is where Night of the Creeps came from. And it was also I'm not sure. I've never read anything to this, but I do believe that it was his attempt to explain Night of the Living Dead.
Okay.
Because I mean the whole
Yeah, I can see that.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Once again, I can't explain anything more than that because if there are people that watch this that would like to check it out on their own, I don't want to. I would like you to see it and experience it.
Yeah.
Right.
And once again, the effects hold up pretty well. It's got some fucking dark twists and it's got some great acting, as well as just that fucking quality 80s comedy horror.
Right.
Like the funny parts in that fucking movie are hilarious. And the dark shit,
Okay.
it's real fucking dark.
Hey, man, that makes a great movie to me.
Mm.
So I'm cool with it.
Oh yeah, the juxtaposition, you can't argue it.
No.
It actually they both bring out the best in each other.
Mm.
Either way, so Night of the Creeps.
Night of the Creeps. I got that on my watch list now.
Thank you.
I can't remember if I.
Already.
Next on mine, let's see. I got a bunch of choices here yet. Cannibal Holocaust,
Yeah. I thought that was 70s. Was that not 70s?
1980. my
No
friend.
shit. All right, there you go.
Yeah,
Director
you're right.
murdered
1980.
before it ever fucking got the accolades it needed.
Like, I'm just like 2 words to describe this movie. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
Also, like, they just straight up went to South America and lived amongst a native tribe that had never been contacted by the outside world
Mm.
and proceeded to film a horror movie around them.
Indirectly influenced the Faces of Death movies.
Yep.
Also created an entire slew of fucking, let's call them, if not rip-offs, let's call them influenced by.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, there's shit all the way up to the Green Inferno, which Eli Roth might as well flat out said this is a remake of
Yep.
Cannibal
He
Holocaust
did.
with a full storyline.
Yep. That's
And
exactly
it's
what he
good,
said.
to me at least, good movie. Done well.
Green Inferno is fantastic.
Yep.
I would wholeheartedly agree, but it's virtually a shot-for-shot remake with a slightly different storyline.
Yep.
Mm.
And normally I don't like shot-for-shot, but that one I can get behind because it is a different story in a sense.
I like Eli Roth,
but
I like his
oh yeah, Eli Roth is
different
good.
things. I mean, even the advent of the torture porn fucking genre, like Hostel, people chalk it up to torture porn because obviously there's some gratuitous shit in it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's still a horror movie. It just happens to be a very graphic one. It's a subject matter that people, you know what I mean? The idea behind it, like stranger in a strange place, not listening to warnings, trusting things they don't understand. That is a classic horror formula. That's not a torture porn thing. I mean, granted, the way it was shot, there's some graphic shit that makes you cringy.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, the Achilles tendon.
Oh, absolutely. For that matter, even the Japanese chick getting her eye fucking soldered out, and then you know what I mean.
Eye gouging scene. Yeah.
There's there's so much in that movie that does it makes you like you know what I mean. Yeah. But it's not. Calling it torture porn's a load of shit. It's not Saw. They're not setting up this brutal fucking takedown of a human body.
Yeah.
With a time limit. It's literally like you guys trusted the wrong people. You were in the wrong fucking place, and you thought way more of yourself than you should have. That is a solid classic horror setup.
And these people have paid to kill.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, you were in the wrong fucking place at the wrong time. You are valued here, but not for the purpose that you value yourself.
Yep.
Exactly. And then Cannibal Holocaust. Let's get back to that for a second. No, it's all good. And for those who haven't seen this movie or know anything about it, the director was taken to court for murder because it looked that real. And not only that, but you see live animal cruelty.
Oh, absolutely. They just filmed it.
Yeah, they kill a turtle and cook it. Which, don't get me wrong, I've done. But but like you don't.
I like turtles.
You don't film that and put it in a feature movie unless you're trying to get a reaction, or you just don't have the money for the props, which in this case was it.
It was. They had, dude.
They had props, but like
for effects that stand up. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Straight up visceral nature of that fucking movie, like the shit that happens in that movie. I understand why people saw it and were like, "Is it real? Is this a fucking snuff? Why is this?"
It looks like a fucking documentary.
Yeah, because it was also honestly
it was shot like a documentary.
The fucking documentary or the found footage.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yep.
It was. I mean, there was after. Well, no, actually, I think it was the Stead-Off because I can't think of another one. Oh, by the way, the movie I was trying to think of the other night was Peeping Tom, the one that was a precursor to Maniac. Peeping Tom. Peeping Tom might be the closest thing to a setup that would later become found footage, only because the movie itself was set from the camera angle of the killer.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It was the whole prototype for what would later become like heavy breathing and a camera moving forward with the tip of a knife in front of it. You know what I mean? But either way, point of the matter is, Cannibal Holocaust was legitimately, or at least as far as I can think of right off the top of my head, honestly was the original fucking found footage horror movie.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it wasn't promoted the same way. It wasn't promoted as like, this is a true story. This really happened. I think it wasn't like Blair Witch where they did an entire fucking campaign leading up to it saying, all this shit that just wasn't true, or for that matter, the Amityville Horror, which sort of ran the same route.
Yeah.
Right.
But the way in which it was filmed, I mean, it is a straight up documentary with so many of those vile shit that you could have, like, at least at the time, especially, you could imagine a person going through. It is horrifying. It does stand out, and it is, well, I mean, shit, it's for what it is, it's a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I think it's a work of art.
No,
personally,
absolutely.
because-
And once again,
Right.
shame, fucking shame. The director got, what was it, knifed? I think something happened, but it's a shame he fucking died.
No, he's alive.
Was it the writer?
Isn't he?
Somebody from Cannibal Holocaust died before they ever.
It wasn't the director. I know that.
Well,
The director's
damn
still
it,
with
James,
us,
had to
as
fucking look it up
far as I know. It's not my fault.
well, no, no.
At least I'm pretty sure.
No,
But I
I
can't think
think
of
you're
the guy's
probably
name.
correct. That's not it. I'm trying, but somebody involved in the movie itself, be it the writer, director, somebody, producer, possibly. The guy who had to go to court in Italy,
That was the director.
yeah, and prove that he didn't get to see what it became. Because I think it was him. He ended up getting fucking killed.
I don't know though. I want to say he's still alive because I'm pretty sure he had a cameo in Hostel. Because Eli Roth filled that thing with horror movie director cameos.
Yeah.
You got Takashi Miike, and I'm pretty sure it was the guy who directed Cannibal Holocaust. When he's literally eating a guy, like in Hostel.
Hold on, I
Like,
can find this.
or Hostel 2, I should say.
You're right, by the way. It wasn't the director.
Yes.
Yeah,
Who was?
you know you're right, but there's somebody that was like, there was somebody that should have been able to see what they created,
Right.
and they didn't get a chance to.
Huh. Well, that sucks. That movie, though, it stirred up a lot of shit. Like, damn. Gregor, what do you got next?
Texas Chainsaw 2.
Texas. Hey, I got that one.
All right.
Saw his family.
I think that's
Jump
my
out.
favorite out of the entire franchise is
Easily.
Texas Chainsaw 2.
Easily.
I mean, you got Chop Top, you got everything, yeah.
Bill Moseley, like, it's fuck. He makes the whole
Oh, he
movie.
does, absolutely.
Like, I watched it a couple
turning
years
my
ago. And I was
plate.
like, man. Yes.
Hey, down at my plate.
That man is a wordsmith. I'm telling you. You can give him the simplest things and it's gonna become iconic.
Yep.
But yeah, like Texas Chainsaw 2, like, I don't know, Jason, what are your
Can't even
thoughts on it?
Find it. Sorry, still trying to find the thing. I know there was somebody that died. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so in a lot of ways, okay, so the first one being an anti-meat, like a pro-vegetarian sort of film. The
Yeah.
second one threw all that shit to the fucking wayside and just, I mean, it was still there though. I mean, the chili
Yeah.
cook, like, honestly, as there are some disturbing moments in that movie, but one of the grossest is fucking patriarch fucking Klan guy holding his fucking trophy with the meaty chili dripping out of it. Like, it's weird because there's no gore, there's no violence, but you know what it is. And Jesus, they made it look gross. You know?
Mhm.
For that matter, you had Stretch. Fucking God, what's her name? The
What?
radio host.
Stretch.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the actress. But yeah,
The
Stretch.
actor.
As
No,
a
no,
character,
she wasn't. That wasn't Stretch. Stretch was the
Yeah,
name of
wasn't
her
that
partner
person?
guy, wasn't it?
was
can't-
Stretch the partner?
I can't
It
remember.
might be. Greg, I think you might be right. You may be correct about that. So, no, it was Stretch. it was stretched because I remember him calling her that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Although his fucking death with him spitting without a face, good moment.
I mean,
even her
it even had a love story now that you mentioned
I
that.
just had a flashback.
But with the weird ass fucking her whole thing as a final girl, which I mean, obviously the final girl trope in any horror movie, that's something we all have grown to expect. And honestly, I mean, obviously, it goes back to Carpenter, really, as the final thing. At least to me, it does. But her as a final girl, she was one of the first horror movie chicks that I remember seeing and thinking, "Oh fuck me, she knows what she's doing to get out of this." Because immediately kicked into a sexual thing because fuck, that chainsaw has to be an allegory for something.
Yeah.
You know, and fucking what's great is, I mean, you met Bill Moseley, Chop Top. Holy shit, for a movie that's basically a comedy with some gore, he's menacing as fuck in that film. I mean, even with a smile on his face, scratching his head with a fucking coat hanger, he is still menacing. You know, that whole movie, and fucking Dennis Hopper with his chainsaw dance, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That moment, just fucking with the weird hillbilly dude cheering him on while he's just fucking chopping the shit out of a stump. That whole movie was a fucking, like, it was, they were like, all right, let's play up the stupidity of this entire thing. They did, but it's still, there's some intelligent shit in it. Being stretched, knowing that she's, well, there's got to be a sexual reason for this, so I guess I might as well play into it, and consequently, she lives because of it. You know, the fact that as this family has been running across and everybody's denying they exist, Dennis Hopper knows they fucking don't, so fuck it, I'll find them on their own turf. Chainsaw dance. You know? Even the chili cook-off thing is such an absurd thing to get into. Well, I guess we got to make money. Let's cook leftovers, gentlemen.
Yeah, dude. It expands upon the absurdity of the franchise.
Well, I mean,
more so than any of the other movies.
They've taken them from living in a, old house to living in like a theme park and being basic squatters.
Right.
You know?
Oh, absolutely. Like an underground amusement park. Like literally even their darker shit under the amusement park is still a fucking amusement park.
Yeah.
Like it's still, it is such an absurd way to assemble a fucking film, especially for a follow-up, man. They went bigger and better. It was like the Gremlins 2 of Gremlins before. And honestly, like, I mean, if you think about part 3, and like part 3, I think by itself is actually a good movie. But man, they tried to pull it back and make it dark again, and I think it was less because of that.
Right.
Like, show how much these people fucking enjoy this shit. That's part of what makes it fucking scary.
Right.
Show the fact that insanity spreads, because that's really what part 2 is. The only people, they live because they get crazy with it. I mean, Pat Stretch, she lives because she takes an insane fucking path out of a closet.
Right. Yeah. Texas Chainsaw 2.
It's a great answer, correct?
Jason.
Yo, which one are we on?
You got bored.
We are on
this is number 18.
Oh, 18?
No, we got 2 more after that. After this we got 2 more. I've been counting as we go around.
All right, so oh my God, that really fucks me up because I've been skipping around. I guess we'll do the honorable mentions, which I'm gonna have to because man, there's some great fucking movies.
Yeah, we'll do that after we get all this stuff. We each have one more though.
So I am going. This is my last one. Then I actually have to hit this.
Make it count.
A little different. I'm actually going to, and I don't know if anybody's going to agree with me, but 976 Evil.
Never seen
that movie. Great.
1989, Robert Englund's directorial debut.
Okay. Yeah. Say no more, my friend.
Very, very 80s, but also very, very twisted.
Okay.
The guy, you've seen Fright Night, the original Fright Night?
It's been a long time, but yeah.
Okay, so the dude who played Charlie's best friend, what was his name? Craig, do you remember?
Oh, I can't remember.
All right, so the guy, Banksy? No. All right, point of the matter is, the dude that gets turned into a vampire and, yeah, okay, so He's actually the main character in 976 Evil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great actor. Sadly, the career didn't really go much further after that. I think he ended up doing gay porn. He was gay, by the way, but I think he ended up doing gay porn to make ends meet. He did well, from what I
Do what you got to do.
No, I mean, like, I'm not going to complain about it. Like, fuck yeah,
No.
buddy. You do you, buddy.
You, Ben.
But he was no, something thinks. Not either way. Point of the matter is, in 976 Evil, he actually, at least from my standpoint, bear in mind, once again, I was a kid when I first saw it, so I probably hold a particular nostalgic attachment to it.
Mhm.
He pulled off menacing and scary in a way that, honestly, most bad guys in most movies fucking don't.
Right.
Yeah.
As I mean, he's a kid who is intentionally giving over the worst possible things because it finally gives him power.
Right.
Yeah, it's a fucking brilliant movie. The effects are very 80s.
Okay.
A lot of the kills are very 80s. The fucking bad guys in the movie, let's call them the bullies, they are very, very 80s archetypical bullies.
Yeah.
But the movie itself, and once again, Robert Englund's directorial debut, to me, it still holds up.
Right.
And if you ever decide to watch it, having not seen it, if you ever decide to watch it, go in understanding that there's a lot of shit that isn't going to quite work now.
Right.
But at the
Mhm.
time, I mean, like, for example, you
Trying
have
to put myself in a mental, like, what year did it come out?
1989, actually, which is
Okay,
hilarious.
so
Because
to
even
just
in
take
19,
yourself back like 32 years. And
well, I mean, there's part of it, it relies around a 976 fucking phone number, which is not a thing that exists anymore, really. You know, it literally, there are so many fucking rotary phones and fucking phone booths in that movie that it's like most of the movie.
Right.
You know, there's so much of that you have to go in understanding the time that it was made, and you have to watch it for what it is. You'd have to suspend disbelief. And the only reason I choose it as the last one, honestly, there's a bunch of other ones I probably could have named, is because that movie in particular had such an effect on me as a kid.
Right.
Just because of the dude from Fright Night.
Okay.
He played that fucking character perfectly, man. He was good.
Right on. I'll have to check that out too. Shit. I'm walking away with more movies to watch. But on that, my last one, I got a bunch of iconic movies on my list.
Hard.
So it's really hard for me to pick which one will end it. But it's my favorite Stephen King book and my favorite Stephen King movie, Pet Sematary.
Didn't name
I
it
knew
because
you were gonna pick it. That's why I didn't even put it on my list. I knew it was gonna be on there.
You gotta be careful on that road.
When I was a kid, Pascal scared the shit out of me when I first saw him.
That is 100% valid, and I completely understand it.
Also, one of the first, and bearing in mind, I mean, this is at a time when I already understood. I mean, I was a little kid, but I already understood what effects were. Like, I understood. Then, like, honestly, most horror movies I saw after that, like Tales from the Dark Side, the movie and shit like that, there were scary parts, but mostly I'd be like, man, how did they make that happen?
Yeah.
Like, that's what stood out to me. One of the first times when I was thinking that way, where I completely forgot to think that way, was actually the end of the original Pet Sematary, in which his wife turns her head and the shit starts leaking out of the eye socket.
Yeah.
That moment, I was like, oh God, don't kiss it. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
What? Why? You know, I mean, I was a little kid too, and all I could think was, man, why? I don't understand why you buried her there, because you have to learn. You should
Right.
learn.
You should have learned the first time.
And you're looking at this thing coming at you. Look at it. That is fucking disturbing.
For real. Like,
Great fucking
but fantastic movie. And ever since I saw that movie first time when I was a little kid, and ever since then, I've never trusted anybody named Gage.
fair enough. Jesus, and talk about, man, when you watch that as an adult,
Miko,
man,
what's his name? Nico
Nico
Hughes.
Hughes. Yep.
Yeah.
Fucking, I played with Judd. I played with, who was it? Mommy. Now I want to play with you. That line. It's
Jesus
fucking disturbing.
Christ.
Also, at the end, it's so sad with him just wandering down the hallway. No fair, no fair. Like that whole moment. Like as a parent watching that movie now, it hits.
Yeah, dude.
It hits real fucking hard.
Yeah.
And you had another scene with an Achilles tendon flight.
Mm. Dude, the fucking Glasgow smile.
Yeah.
The cut across fucking Judd's lips. I mean that
That does. I can handle watching that.
oh,
happen
that
to
gets me
somebody
worse than the
because-
Achilles.
No, Achilles, man. Like anything with the ankles and shit, they're just oh god. But like seeing somebody get a Glasgow smile, like I don't know. I think it's a pretty cool way to kill somebody.
Well, it's at the time
In a
when I
movie.
first saw it, there was nothing else like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the closest, like the way they did that was that they did Herman Munster. What's his name?
Fred
Thank
Gwynn.
you. They
Fred Gwynn.
cast Fred Gwynn's face. They did a full-on latex makeup, and they created. And to my knowledge, it's one of the first movies. And we'll get to Zelda in a moment. But to my knowledge, it's one of the first movies where they actually created a full-on face designed to split apart when hit, which is like that's something that's pretty standard in practical effects now. But at that moment, it was a new idea, and man, it was the first time I'd ever seen something like it. And just the fact that you see that fucking scalpel go across and it's that brief pause and the jaw drops open and shit.
Yep.
To me, that was fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
Oh, that's completely fair. Zelda.
Rachel?
Yeah.
Fucking, oh my God.
Krager. Number 20 on our 80s list, number 40 overall. What do you got?
All right. I know it was mentioned earlier, but I can't like not put it on my list of mentioned things. The Thriller VHS.
Okay.
It is
Thriller VHS. Yes.
It is always going to be iconic to me because it had the video and the making of afterwards. And
That's fair. And it is considered a short film.
Yeah.
It is considered a short film, so that counts.
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
like the
That's
it's
totally
like 15
valid.
minutes long, isn't it?
Yeah. 15-minute long.
And the documentary, the making of it's like a half hour, 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But
all told, you got about
I can't have a horror list without mentioning it, especially when it comes to 80s, because I watched it so many times. Like I burned so many VHS out, so many copies of that movie.
It's a snippet that pulls you in. Like if you're not, if you were a younger kid growing up in the fucking 80s in suburbia and you didn't actually have access to a fucking older person that could take you to a movie theater and shit like that.
Yeah.
The fact is, as far as introductory horror goes, that's probably at the top of the fucking echelon. Like there is nothing.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's other movies you can name, but that particular video, because it was played on MTV, man, on fucking Saturdays, they would play the entire thing from the beginning all the way. Like it was a short movie that had a cohesive story, incredible effects, and quite frankly, it was freaky. It is a even like if
it gave me nightmares.
Well, absolutely, and even the for that matter, the whole idea of Michael Jackson turning around and the fucking cat's eye lenses being there.
Yeah.
That was if you've ever seen something like that, Jesus, that motherfucker was a gut punch.
At the same time, that's why I learned to realize they're not really real because I watched the making of that so many times. And that's where I realized monsters aren't real, they're just effects. Like it's just people in makeup, and that's where I got interested in all that stuff.
That's where I really got interested in the special effects and stuff. It was like watching that making it.
Was the behind the scenes of Thriller when they were talking to some of the zombie extra dancers that were still in full makeup but just like hanging out next to craft surfaces?
Eating chicken.
Yes.
They're eating chicken and like
No, I remember that, dude. That shit.
They're completely done up. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And they emulated it in the fucking Full Tilt Boogie, the documentary behind From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yep.
Because they went and showed all the fucking people in their full, like, disgusting vampire, like, monster makeup, hanging out at craft surfaces, asking for an extra scoop of mac. You know what I mean? Like that. And there's very few things that will immediately let you know what you're watching was intended to be what it is. And honestly, the people didn't get thought it was hilarious.
It's fucking great.
That was a good call, Craig. I didn't even think about that. That's
That
a
was a good
fucking
call. Yeah. And I debated putting that on mine.
I ran across it and I
debated
was like, I was thinking like it doesn't count. But
Right.
It
I was
counts
But, like,
to me because like the VHS had the making of with it too. That's why I said like the VHS.
Right.
why it didn't count to me is because I had to exclude shit.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, I was trying to find ways to narrow my list down, and if I had started including everything that was like, I mean, shit, you could have gotten into TV. I could have named fucking Salem's Lot because that's a fucking great horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was in the 70s.
Series, but it's a great horror movie. You know, I mean,
Yep.
there's so much you could do with that, but I had to exclude it because there's only 20 out of a fucking decade that probably has literally 500 or 600 you could fucking run through.
Give
Yeah.
or take.
So I think we are on to honorable mentions.
We absolutely are. Why don't you kick us off there, Jason?
All right, so I'm going to run through some of the shit that we did not hit upon, or at least that I can't think of that we hit upon. The Fog, John Carpenter. Once again, this was a great movie. What else we got? Christine, which Stevie once again.
I debated adding that.
What's
I had Christine.
Debated.
I actually chose to go with 976 Evil over Christine, just because I felt like it was the lesser known.
Yeah.
And like if it was going to tip somebody off, that's what I'd prefer to happen. Let's see what else we got. Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, but I feel like Craig has already touched on that just because of part 3. So it's really the whole series.
Yeah.
The Toxic Avenger.
I'm
I didn't
surprised
even think of
neither of you
Toxic
said.
Avenger.
Well, 1984. Bearing in
I mean,
mind when
I
I
did,
saw
but-
that, I was like 7
Right.
years old. My dad rented it after he won a VCR at work. Like VCRs were new. The fucking remote control for that
Right.
thing was a cord you had to plug into the back. You know
That
what
shit
I mean?
was expensive.
Yeah.
But he went and rented that, and he was like, "We're gonna watch this." We watched the first 5 minutes of it. He's like, "Go to bed, Jason." So I had to wait until they passed out to go back down and rewind it and watch it.
That's fine.
And like the thing is, when you're a little kid and you don't understand schlock horror, like
Right.
the fact that it's intentionally absurd, like it was freaky and awesome to me.
Right.
Toxic Avenger, Cat's Eye. Once again, Stephen King. I mean the troll thing when I was a kid, and for that matter, James Woods. Once again, walking around the
Ooh,
outside of that
candy.
fucking apartment, fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Ooh, peach candy.
Fright Night. Fright
Fright
Night.
Night.
I wanted to name, and the only reason I held off is because of 976 Evil. What a fucking shame.
Yeah.
Right.
Evil Ed, by the way. Evil Ed was the character that he played. Ed.
Evil Ed.
Okay.
Critters.
Ah.
Critters.
Rats.
Another one I
Yep.
debated.
Eating up the Easter Bunny.
Creep Show. 1 and 2.
I got Creep Show. Yeah.
Creep Show 1
Yep.
and 2. Don't know
The
that.
Gate and the Blob.
Ah.
The
Yeah, the
Blob
remake.
remake.
Not
Okay.
the original.
Well, of course.
Matt Dillon remake.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was another one I debated, but my honorable mentions, I'm going to name the ones I crossed off and replaced too, just because they're iconic in and of themselves. Children of the Corn.
Malachi Outlander.
Outlander.
We have no
Cujo.
woman.
I had Cujo.
Cujo. Beetlejuice.
Almost added that to mine, but I was like,
Yeah.
gotta go with real.
was-
I gotta go with actual terrifying horror. I can't.
Yeah.
add this one.
Right, but I had to because it's Beetlejuice.
So I literally, but it's once again trying to narrow down a list of 20. I had to make,
Right, yeah.
I had to make rules as I went.
Exactly. Poltergeist, and I'm going to include 1, 2, and 3.
I'd skip 3, part 1 and part 2. I'd take. And the only reason I'd skip 3 is not because it was a bad idea. It's because Heather O'Rourke died while filming.
This is true.
Yeah.
Okay, so Poltergeist 1 and 2.
Part 1 and 2 were fucking great.
All right. I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick
They
ass,
live.
but I am all out
They
of
live.
bubblegum. They live.
Roddy Piper came up with that line.
Roddy Piper, and I crossed off Prom Night for that.
Ha! Yeah, that was a good call. That was a good call. Prom Night 2 was pretty good, though.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, Prom Night 2 was great. I got rid of My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah,
For
I
Gremlins.
almost had it, and then I remembered that I was never actually. I didn't enjoy that, but it felt like a fucking Halloween ripoff set in a cave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was like, I've seen this movie. Wait, no, I haven't. No, I have.
I replaced it with Gremlins.
Ah, good call. Once again, John Landis.
Yep, absolutely. I got rid of Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, for Motel Hell.
Motel Hell is a great movie. Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer is good, provided that you really, really want to be upset. I mean,
Yeah.
based off of Henry Lucas,
But it's
loosely.
It's really
Yeah.
well acted.
Oh no,
Like,
of course,
it's
it's
really
fucking,
well executed.
it's fucking brilliant. What's his name?
Michael Rooker.
Thank you.
Yep.
Absolutely brilliant in it, but just the sheer insanity and violence for violence sake, for that matter, death for death's sake.
Yeah.
It's a depressing fucking. That's a lot to grapple with when you're a kid.
It really is. It really is. Child's Play.
Of course.
Silver Bullet.
Of course.
Mhm.
Cycle of the Werewolf, Stephen King. Great story.
I got rid of Reanimator for Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it was named Reanimator.
Yeah.
I got rid of The Thing for The Fly.
That's actually, to me, that's a fair trade. I mean, don't get me wrong, The Thing is what it is, but
Yes. And my final one that I did not mention, and I'm kind of upset with myself, but it's not surprising. Friday the 13th, the first one.
I feel like none of us mentioned any of the Friday the 13th specifically because
I
that's
kind of did it by design. Like I didn't want to be too.
well, yeah. Who doesn't know Friday the 13th? We all know. Fucking
Yeah, I just
exactly.
I had so much
People that-
other stuff that I replaced it with. I mean,
That's the one I didn't replace.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those were good
Krager.
calls.
All right. The ones that haven't been mentioned, I've got Shock Treatment. The
Okay.
Great one.
yeah. And then I've got Society, another great one.
Oh, also Brian Usna in one of his
Mhm.
first fucking outs.
Mhm.
One I'm surprised nobody has mentioned is Maximum Overdrive.
I had it and I crossed it out. I had it as a backup. That movie is what happens when cocaine makes a film.
Yes.
All right, I got Swamp
Yes, it
Thing.
is.
Mhm.
Swamp Thing. Okay.
Wes Craven trying to branch
Yes.
out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Little Monsters.
An honest attempt. Little Monsters. I thought about adding.
I almost did, but then again, I almost added Monster Squad. I thought about it.
I almost added Monster Squad too.
Monster Squad's a fucking. I don't care who you are.
Monster
is awesome.
Squad's fucking amazing. Tom Noonan is Frankenstein's monster. Come
Oh,
on.
even then, the fucking dude who played the vampire. I don't even know what the fuck else he was in, but man, his
I
Dracula
don't
was
even.
incredible.
Right?
Like he was fucking. When I was even as a kid, as a gateway horror movie, he was fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, The Gate, by the way, also.
Yes.
Did I already mention The Gate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Never
you
mind.
did. And finally, I have House,
House.
Fucking House.
which I would count 1 and 2.
House Part 1 and Part 2. Part 2 more of a fantasy, but man, still a great story. But
Yeah.
the original House, just the fucking effects, the story, all of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Right.
amazing. So many unexpected turns.
Mm,
And good God, the practical effects.
yeah.
They are wonderful. I mean, just fucking, what was Kincaid? No, not Kincaid. Fucking Richard Mall's character.
I can't remember.
It was something like some like brick house or something. It was some like it was a nickname.
Yeah.
His character, the makeup effects on him when I was a kid, the end scene with the grenade, like that scene. God, all of it. That whole fucking movie. Great.
Yeah.
Oh, there we got it, boys. We've got 40 in the
That's it.
bank.
All right. We got 60 more to go.
60
Yeah.
more.
We're on the 90s
60 more.
next. 90s are gonna be real
Yep,
fucking
and I
hard.
finished
Yeah.
my list already.
You thought about, dude, I've been looking at it. We talked about it the other day, which I'm still surprised I forgot about doing this tonight because I kept thinking about the 90s
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
what I was going to do after the 80s. And man, I keep coming up with specific movies that were very important to me. And then immediately they lead off to other movies that they led
Yeah.
to that were
Right.
more important. And there's this whole fucking rabbit hole and ladder thing that occurs.
Yeah.
Like it's so like as I thought like the 80s were hard. I think the 90s are gonna be goddamn impossible.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, 2 of my top 3 on my 90s list are movies that one of them I haven't seen since I was like 7, but the other one, pretty much shaped my love for horror.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're 2 movies that have stuck with me since childhood because like I watched them and they're just those unforgettable type of movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the 90s is going to be fun.
Oh no, it's going to be a blast. I'm just
because this is where these are the movies that, because I'm a 90s kid, you know what I mean? I grew up watching 90s movies, horror, comedy, Disney, all of them.
Yeah.
So like the 90s horror movies and the comedy horror, because obviously we're going to include all that.
Obviously.
It's what we do. But all that shit is just, I grew up watching it, so I love it.
In 19,
Like
Yeah.
it didn't take me long.
I was finally old enough to understand
Right.
really what I was watching, so it became it wasn't just scary shit on the screen, scary shit with the storyline.
Yeah.
And actually, like it was. I mean, don't get me wrong. I knew some of the stuff when I was younger, but by the time I was like 13 or 14, it became more understandable. I still got a little scared by some of the shit because I was a kid, but I wanted to be, and they succeeded. And there are so many of those fucking movies that are just. Even now, when I watch a horror movie, when I sit down and watch a horror flick, that's the feeling I'm chasing is the 90s.
Yeah.
Right. But I want to mention one more movie from the 80s. It's often overlooked as a horror movie, but it was originally released as a horror movie. The Terminator.
Fair enough. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, Skinners was actually classified under sci-fi when it came out, and it's not a fucking sci-fi movie. That is a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I mean, look, for that matter, you can even go with Total Recall. Total Recall is a sci-fi movie, but there is once again body.
There's a lot of horror elements to it.
Horror. I mean, there are fucking jump scares. It is a scary movie.
Absolutely.
RoboCop sci-fi. That's a fucking horror movie. Easily.
The first one, absolutely.
There's
the first one, absolutely.
Once again, back to the 80s and why it was a great decade was because there were boundaries that didn't exist yet.
Yep.
Filmmakers had a lot more freedom to do what they wanted to do and make something happen.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Aliens. Aliens is classified as an action movie, the follow-up to Alien.
Yeah.
It's not an action movie. It's a fucking horror movie.
Again, James Cameron.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, there's some action aspects because it's got a fast pace to it.
Same with Terminator.
Bill Paxton, with his whole fucking ad-lib game over thing, talking about the fact that they were stuck in a room and that there was just no way out. Like, that is a terrifying moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's silly to look back on. It's become something that you just quote whenever something sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the point. It became something you quote when something sucks because it was that visceral at the time.
Right.
No, there was a lot of that in the 80s. That was, like I said, that was what was great. There was no parameters. It was just fucking make something and see what happens.
Exactly. And even Terminator 2 is classified as horror. Because you got to think about it. There's a cyborg in the future chasing you the fuck down.
I would call it like tame, like you would say tame horror, but the only way you could say tame horror is if you didn't have anything to compare it to. I mean, well, you can look at all right, so gateway horror, which is something we've talked about before, which is Back to the Gate. Yeah. The Never-Ending Story is a classic movie that all of us know and love.
Mm-hmm.
That's a gateway fucking horror movie.
Yeah.
The Morgue is fucking terrifying to a little kid. Jumping out of the darkness and attacking Atreyu and just fucking chasing him relentlessly as this fucking creature that represents the end of existence.
Right.
That's fucking scary. Like, when you lay it out for what the character is, that is scary as shit. That is some fucking dark, horrible shit. I don't know. There was so much more room to play around with that shit in the fucking 80s.
It really was. They could get. There's a lot of room for experimentation back
Absolutely.
then.
Well, then again, they were still throwing shit at the wall to see what stick and trying to figure out what formula would make the most money.
Yeah.
Which is why we ended up with, the Scream franchise. Which, and don't get me wrong, I actually like the Scream franchise because the first two are fucking hilarious, but that's, Wes Craven. Right. But, you got the ripoffs of I Know What You Did Last Summer and then fucking That was the fishhook one. What was the other one? See, that's the
Oh.
thing I can't even remember. The fishhook one and then the other one.
Urban
You know,
Legend.
like that is Urban Legends. Yeah.
That's it.
No, it's not even Urban Legends, but Urban Legends.
Faculty?
No, not the Faculty. I thought the Faculty was actually pretty good.
The faculty was good.
Once again, for the sci-fi aspect.
Yeah. But we're getting off the rails again.
We are.
But yeah. All right. So that's our 80s list. Whenever we bring you the 90s list, could be later this week, could be next week. We don't know yet.
Hopefully before Halloween.
Yeah, hopefully before Halloween. This is obviously not going to be done before Halloween. This whole list.
No, this will be going for like another month after.
We're busy boys, people. But yeah, that's I don't know. That's our top 20 80s, top 40 overall. I don't know. You guys got anything fun coming up on Badminton or anything?
Well, we do have a couple of possible interviews in the pipeline, but otherwise, not a whole lot. I mean, there's, again, as you mentioned, there's been a lot going on.
Yeah.
I got the
Craig's got the hunt again.
at work. Craig has hunt.
One more weekend of hunt.
We quite frankly, I mean, part of why we have not been hitting this as much as we were, we all have a lot of shit going on, which is bound to happen. I mean, we're coming up on the end of the year. What are you gonna do?
Exactly.
It's the way life works.
Christmas time is coming. People have jobs. But you know what? We're still here. So tune in next time.
Partially up.
We'll catch you guys next time. Jason, Craig, as always, my friends.
This was a pleasure, gentlemen.
Absolutely.